Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Get Deep, where we're getting so deep with the celebrities and artists that you guys love. Today, our special guest is Shannon Hamm, and I could not be happier to have you here.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. It is truly an honor.
Thank you. It's actually an honor for me to have you here. Like, you are an absolutely amazing actress. I have seen her in all of her works now. And most recently, you were in a commercial during the Olympics. Like, that was absolutely...
I know, crazy.
I couldn't even imagine. That's like such a big deal.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was an exciting thing. It kind of came out of nowhere. I feel like that's when things happen, when we're not expecting them. And I was like, oh, okay, here I am with Jake from State Farm.
Hi, Jake, if you're out there watching.
Hey.
But I think more importantly, you and I have gotten really close in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And I'm super honored to have you here for that reason, because I've really gotten to get to know you, and I'd love the world to get to know you more. So I guess I would begin with just the industry and like how crazy it is.
Yeah, for sure. The industry is crazy. I mean, I moved to New York City when I was 18 years old. I've been here for 19 years, and it's a process. I think a lot of people think they're going to move to New York and make it overnight, right? That overnight success. But it really is about the long game and really being devoted to a craft and having your why. I think for a long time, I kind of always knew I wanted to be in the industry in some way. I grew up taking dance classes. I remember being on stage when I was 4 years old and being like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. I didn't know what that meant. Come from a small town in Pennsylvania. Like, what does that even mean? But I was always encouraged by my parents to just do what I wanted to do and what I felt called to do. I marched drum and bugle corps. I was in musicals. I was in dinner theater. I was on dance team. Like, anything creatively I could do, I did. So when it was time to start thinking about schools, I was like, I think New York is the place to be. I thought I was going to be a Broadway baby, but I think
most of us come to New York thinking we're going to be on Broadway.
Yes, and Broadway's amazing. You know,
Yeah.
it's such a fun thing. But I've really found my way moving through film and television and, just really falling in love with that art form. I didn't know anything about it until I started doing it. And I think that was the coolest thing of like, wait, how are things shot? This is shot this way? How do they do that? The kind of puzzle pieces of cinema and how it comes together is what is sometimes the most exciting thing for me.
So for you, it's like more about like the whole process and the making of that really excites you and then puts you in a better headspace to be the artist in front of the camera.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think having both has given me kind of an edge in my career by knowing how things work on the backside, and then being able to step in front of the camera then gives me like this comfortability of knowing what's happening so that I can fully relax and I can fully be in whatever character I'm portraying. But going back to that idea of our why, like I didn't know what that was when I first moved to New York. I just was like, I want to perform.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. No one asked me why. They're like, okay, this is what you want to do. And I think it was probably around 2016. I really started asking myself that question. What is your why? What is the long game here? And it's about, for me as an artist, it's about getting people to see things from a new perspective, getting them to see someone who maybe they see themselves in that is going through something that they've never gone through that now they can empathize with, or maybe the other extreme where this is someone that they don't have anyone like this in their life. And now all of a sudden they're relating to this character in this way that they get to see something new or perceive the world in a different way.
I think that is really cool about acting, because even I myself, like, even though I've been a model, I've also been in the acting industry as well,
right.
Since I was 15, and it is extremely hard. I don't think people realize the hours that go into things. I remember being on set once for 3 days. Well, I was shooting a commercial in India for Hilti Construction.
Oh my gosh.
And they didn't have labor laws there, but even the labor laws here, like, I mean, when you're SAG, I guess your union, you have more laws around what you're doing. But sometimes you can be on set for like 3 days with like very minimal sleep. Like when I was doing the Bros movie, I think I was out there for like 3 months back and forth to Jersey, like on a bus at like 4 a.m. in the morning, riding out there, and then like on set all day long. I think I got 1 hour of sleep by the time I got home every night for like 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst. Well, and it's like people see the industry or the film and television industry or Hollywood as this like big glamorous thing, but they don't realize what actually happens.
Is the real work that goes into it.
I mean, there's so many like people that work on sets that are blue collar people that rig lights and rig cameras and build walls and sets, and they think it's just like a red carpet and you're walking, and that's a fun part of it, absolutely. Right. But like really seeing the work and the collaboration that goes into it, I think is some of the most exciting parts of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that's the biggest thing, right? In any field in the art industry is collaboration. And I think like you have to have that to excel or to extend your career in this industry, right? Like some people, I mean, the longest shelf life usually is about like 3 years, I think is what I hear normally from a lot of people. But in order to like really excel in this industry and to keep growing as an artist, and to have that quote unquote overnight success, which is never overnight success, is to collaborate and to find people that you can grow with in the industry as well.
Yeah, and I think it's important to also understand that, for a long time I felt like if I was doing anything that wasn't in the industry, that I was a failure. Or like if I have to have a survival job, then I'm failing at acting. Which is kind of crazy if you really think about it, because, if you don't have that base security to pay your bills, to make sure that everything's taken care of, how are you going to authentically show up and not be in that desperation energy when you go into the audition room, whether you're doing a self-tape or when it was in person, which we miss, RIP.
Right.
But yeah, I think there's this balance, right, of finding that we can very easily get burnt out by doing things.
Yeah.
And by pushing ourselves like, this is the one thing that I can do and I can't do anything else.
Yeah.
And that grip that we hold on it sometimes is only, pushing us further away from it.
Yeah, unfortunately, in this industry, burnout is very real. And it's where you choose to go after that burnout that really like keeps either you're going to stay in the industry for a long time or that was the end of your journey. Because burnout can lead to many things like mental health problems, addiction, just unhealthy ways of dealing with your life, or even, possibly illness. So it's really important to find that balance. I know you have a short film.
Yeah, a pilot.
A pilot. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
You have a pilot for a movie or TV series, possibly, that is called Burnout.
Yes. So Burnout was born from the idea of doing the most. Like I was always kind of pushing myself to do everything and to, be up at whatever time in the morning, submitting to everything I could, going to open calls, and then, learning how to produce and making things to a point where I was saying yes to everything in a way that wasn't healthy.
Right.
And I think that made me learn how to set boundaries with people, especially in the industry. But that was kind of, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Tiffany Stoker, her and I together were like, let's write a TV show about this. And it really explores kind of the dichotomy of the two sides of burning out. So you have the one side where you're working crazy hours, you're doing extreme things to keep yourself awake and to keep going, and that like grinding mentality. And then the other side where burnout can feel really depressive in a way, like you can't get out of bed or you don't want to do anything because you've done so much that or you've gotten that success that you're just like, I need to rest. I need to do nothing. And that can spiral to burnout in the other end of the spectrum. So it's always that pendulum swinging, right? And it's the whole point is finding the balance in the middle.
Yeah. Because you need to take a break to do your best to the best of your abilities. I can also relate to that. Like I definitely, especially after the pandemic, took anything and everything, like every background job, every carpet, every event, filming my content, classes, maybe even like was looking into going back to school. Like there was just so many different things. And like I definitely, and also my grandma was passing, and I just really, I hit walls, but when I get to that point, what I've learned is like, I need to just take a break. I need to escape. I need to go to nature. I need to bike ride in nature. I need to be on an RV, something like that. That's what works for me the best. We all have our own like ways. What would you say like your ways are for coping, or maybe that can help other people to know how to handle something that feels like maybe they're gonna be in burnout?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few things that come to mind. The first thing is, I think a lot of times we do things for other people out of like obligation. I don't know. I'm a people pleaser. Right. I know we're former people pleasers trying to work our way through things. But I think what I've learned is sometimes when we say yes to things that we actually want to say no to, we're only doing ourselves a disservice, right? We like resentment at that point becomes our responsibility. Like I'm feeling resentful because I did X, Y, and Z for this other person and they're not reciprocating in the way that I anticipated them to or wanted them to. So I think it's important to first step back and be like, okay, am I doing this because I want to and I have the ability to and I have the energy to? Is my cup full? Have I spent enough time to, make sure that I have the energy to give in that way? And then if I am giving from a place of I don't have enough, then it's always going to come back to that burnout stage. But for me, I grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania, and during COVID, I was really kind of lucky, I guess. I happened to be there when everything shut down. So I spent 6 months in Erie with my family. And it was really nice to kind of reconnect to my roots in that way. My parents have a hunting camp that is like 10 miles south of where I grew up, and there's no cell phone service, and there's a fire pit and roasting marshmallows and just kind of being that like country girl that I am at heart, right? So that's always like a really good recharge time for me. I think it's important to have that balance because otherwise, like the place that you're at, the city that you're in, whether it's New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, like any big metropolitan area, like you gotta get out sometimes. I mean, that's
absolutely.
That's
No, I agree. I go back to, as much as I hate to say it, I go back to Florida quite often for that reason, just because it brings me back to like this little boy that I was, and being able to look at myself from the outside and all the things that I accomplished. Like it's really fun after like a year's time in the city to go back, because then I'm like, oh my God, look how cool all this stuff is that I did. And that kind of goes with that feeling of like, I don't know if you get this, but like imposter syndrome.
Oh my gosh, imposter syndrome is real, girl.
Yeah. And especially in the field that we work in.
Yeah, because it's like you're always kind of chasing that next booking, that next job, that next thing, because that's what people ask you. When you tell people, I'm an artist, I'm an actor, they're like, oh, what have I seen you in? What are you working on now? And I think it's really important for us to recognize that it's not always, people aren't asking that because they're trying to be rude or trying to put you on the spot. It's like they genuinely want to know, like, this is so exciting what you do. And so like, going back to our roots and these small towns, it kind of puts it in perspective. I like to look at, who I am or who I was as a little girl, and then look at where I am now, because that gratitude, that feeling of success, it's hard sometimes when you're in the city and when you're surrounded by other people who are also doing this field or are successful, and you're like, well, am I that successful?
Right.
We're always kind of looking at it from a different angle because we can only see things from where we're sitting.
Right.
So that outside
and we're in a city full of people that are doing big things.
Exactly. Yeah. So
it does make it hard to like be happy for your accomplishments, because it's like, oh, it's never big enough. It's like we gotta keep going. But also that goes into like, what is big enough? Are we always striving for the next big thing? why are we doing that, and what's the purpose behind it, you know?
Right. Yeah. I think there's this idea that there is a destination to get to, especially in this industry as an actor or an artist, that there's this big end game, or like when I win the Oscar, or when I, it could look a million different ways. When I was younger, I used to say, okay, when I get my first agent, then I'm going to feel like I made it. And when I book my first co-star, I'm going to feel like I made it. And when I book this or that, it's like, there's always that kind of what's next feeling, like, the booking, you get the booking call and you're so excited and you go to set and then it's like, okay, now what? And I think that's why it's so important to have like mindfulness or some sort of practice for yourself, or other things that you're doing.
That you love to do. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that goes back to what you were saying about, like it's okay to have extra jobs and other things that you're doing for income. And, being a waiter while you're a model or an actress is not a bad thing. And I think like I hear a lot from friends or people that I meet that they're like, well, I'm a waiter and then I'm an actor. But really, they're an actor and then they're a waiter. But they feel like they've been put there because they're not getting a role every day. But even a small role here and there is some people's biggest dreams that they're living. Exactly. And we have to remember that when we accomplish something, we're living somebody else's dream life.
Exactly.
Right?
And I think what you just said about, being a waiter or a host or whatever it is, what you're doing in those jobs is only giving more to your dreams. It allows your nervous system to settle down and to say, I'm supported. I know there's like jokes and people, oh, you're an actor. Oh, so you're a barista or you're a waiter.
Yeah, and that's not a funny joke.
It's not funny.
No,
it's like,
I'm
and
an
also,
actor and I have multiple
being a waiter
jobs.
is hard work.
I know that's right.
It is hard
I can't
work.
do it.
People don't understand that energy of you putting that out there every single night to try and get your money to pay your rent, because the bookings are few and far between sometimes. And it's also understanding that in this industry, you're going to have seasons. You're going to have seasons when you are booked every single day doing what you love. And then there's going to be times where things are a little bit more quiet, and it has nothing to do with you, right? Yeah. I think so often we can say, well, am I just not good enough? Am I not talented enough? Like, the fact of the matter is, every single person who is going out for these things is talented. Yeah. Right? It's just like, do you fit the part? Do you look like the person we've already cast as the mother or the father or the family we have to put together? You just never know the reason behind why you did or didn't get the role.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes into like, everything happens when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like with time, whether it be in your adult life or growing up or like just living in general.
Yes.
It's not just the industry. Like, I feel like we're talking a lot about that, but like also like this refers to like any job that you do, right? Sure. You're always growing and learning, but like with time, you start to realize like things happen how they're supposed to happen and when they're supposed to happen. And when that big booking comes that's just for you, you'll know it. Like you'll be like, this all makes sense now. Exactly. I didn't get that because I wouldn't have gotten this, that got me this, that got me that, and I wouldn't have gotten that if I didn't get this. So, and that comes with growing up and, learning just and everything else.
Yeah. One of my biggest mantras is this or something better. Anytime I get an audition, anytime I put myself on tape, I send it out and I say, it's either this or something better.
Yes.
Because if not, you're just waiting. At the beginning of my career, I would, go to auditions and then be like, wonder when they're going to call me, wonder when they're going to email me. And it's
I remember those days and that feeling. That's why I have multiple projects that I'm always working on, because I'm like,
yeah, you have to like let it go. Yeah. There's this idea that the closer we're moving to our dreams, like, how do I put this? We're over here, right? And our dreams are over here. And we're chasing our dreams. When we're chasing things, they like keep running from us. It's just like energetic truth, right? But the moment we can sit back and be comfortable where we are in our lives, what we're doing, whether that's in our relationships, whether that's with our friendships, whether that's just our own passion projects, like writing a book or producing a pilot or whatever it is that's your thing, it allows you to sit back, and now all of a sudden the energy has flipped and now the dream is coming towards you because you're not chasing it.
Absolutely. And like also being grateful. Yeah, you have to be grateful for what you have in this moment, in this day. Like grateful that you have a roof over your head, that you have food in your belly, that you have, you know, the ability to work. Right. You know, because not everybody has that. And I think that, you know, when you go through certain hard times, you really learn that, and it takes time. I know when I had mastoiditis and I was about to die, I was shooting my second coffee table book, which never happened.
You were about to die?
Yeah. I was in the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody believed me because how I look on the outside.
Sure.
I had something called mastoiditis, which is an infection in the mastoid bone inside of your ear.
Oh my God.
1 in a million people get it, and I happened to be 1 in the million. And I was in Hawaii shooting my second coffee table book when I just could no longer like stand straight. And I went into the hospital, and they were like, "There's
like
nothing."
Vertigo kind of feeling, or
kind of because it is in your inside of your
that makes sense.
eardrum.
Yeah.
Which affects your stability.
Sure.
But nobody believed me because I was like this tough cookie. I was still going.
And
I
how
was
you
so
look
young.
on the outside. It's like...
And how I looked on the outside. So I went to the ER 3 times in a 2-day period. And finally on the 3rd time, they were like, fine, we'll send you to the ENT. Because finally my fever had spiked so high that they had to take me in. And they were like, if you didn't see us now, you would have died in 2 days. And they couldn't even...
That's crazy.
When I first got in, they couldn't even figure out what was wrong. So they brought in like the best doctor that they had in Hawaii and figured it out. And I was so lucky because it was like a fan of mine from Instagram that was the hospital manager who then like helped move all of this along.
Social media saving lives.
I know, that's kind of crazy to think about now.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so like that's when I almost died, and then I had a PICC line in my arm for 6 months of my life. And I was pretty much immobile because I had no eardrum now at this point. I needed to have reconstructional surgery on that. And I had like what a PICC line is it's like a line, an IV line hanging out of your arm that goes to your main artery.
Yeah.
So you can put IV antibiotics in it every 8 hours. On the dot.
Wow.
So I did that for 6 months.
So you like really understand, you know, it's sometimes things like that that bring us, again, like back to
I went from being on a plane and in a club and at a photo shoot 7 days a week for like 6 years to randomly being in a bed.
You're like being forced to slow down, right? You're being
months.
Forced to, and kind of just to see like what's really important in life.
Yeah.
You know, I think sometimes those things happen to us in a way that we're like, why is this happening to me? I think that's a big question that a lot of people ask themselves.
Well, that's what I want to know about you. Like, sorry to go on about myself for so long.
I had no idea this happened. So thanks for sharing that. That's insane. I had no idea.
Yeah, I don't really talk about it a lot because it was that traumatic. But that's what, I mean, the point of that is that's why I'm so grateful to even just be in this room today, or just even to wake up every day. Because like when you almost have a near death experience like that, it's like you kind of just like find everything to be happy about, the smallest things, and then you lose it again because you're like, I'm on top of the world, why don't I have $1 million? But do you have any experiences like that?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I've been very blessed in terms of my health and that, but about 3 years ago now, my husband Corey and I met when we were 19. We got married when we were 23. We've been married since 2012. And we really like built a life together. And the beginning of 2022, he got a new job and things felt like they were really flowing and thriving. We filmed the pilot for Burnout the beginning of 2022. We were in Palm Springs for a wedding. And then he started to feel just off. And he went to the doctor and they were like, you need open heart surgery. You have a congenital issue with one of your valves. He found that out. And then 4 weeks later, he got laid off from his job. And at that point, we were kind of like, what do we do now? And that's why, you know, I kind of brought up earlier of making sure that you have kind of that baseline of support financially or whatever that you can have for yourself, because once that gets taken away,
Yeah, it's scary.
it's really scary because you're like, how am I going to get by? And then on top of that, it's now, oh my God, I could lose my husband. The person that I love more than anything in this world could be taken from me like that, right?
That's very scary.
So,
it's your whole world. When you
right.
marry somebody, it's like, it's not just his illness, it's yours, right? Because
Absolutely.
everything is shared, like
Yeah.
anything you're going through.
And I think it really, it just put a lot of things in perspective of what's important in life and who's important in life and the type of energy of the type of people that I want to have in my life. I was blown away by the support of community that came around during that time, because that was a really dark time for me. I don't think I had ever felt that depressed or low ever in my life, because I felt like everything was just gone, taken from me. You know, when you're in those spaces, you're like, am I ever going to work again? Am I ever going to have the ability to audition again or act again? And then now I'm also taking care of this person that was like my rock, you know, this man that supports me. And now I'm on the other side taking care of him and making sure that he can shower and eat and everything, make sure he has his medication on time. And it's just like things like that really they just put a lot of things into perspective. And I think that going back to the community thing I just said, I think that was when I really, really realized how important community in any spaces, but more importantly, when you're going through hard times, because it's not just about, we think of community as this, you know, oh, we have all these people around us and, you know, they might be acquaintances, but I think really coming down to it, like community can be small. And I think it's important to see it as that, because then you're surrounding yourself with people who have similar values, who you can have deep conversations with. I don't have surface level relationships. I don't have, you know, just like, hey, how's the weather today? You know, if I'm friends with you, I want to sit down and talk about like aliens and, you know, spirituality or what's...
Same girl.
Yeah, what's your mindset like? And so, yeah, I think it was a crazy time. We got through to the other side. You know, he's completely fine now. He actually, you know, he's had like echocardiograms and he has zero regurgitation on his heart, which is basically happens like 0.01% of the time. So
wow, that's amazing.
We're very blessed in that way that we got through that, and, you know, just kind of like rebuilding after that and getting back to it and finding myself again and, you know, getting back into the work and putting myself back into the work and trusting in a way that, again, what's meant for me will not pass me, and situations come up. I don't overthink auditions as much as I used to. I don't overthink a lot of things anymore, because what's the reason? Like, why? So that I can just stress myself out? Like, there's so many other things that are happening that can just take everything away from you in a minute. It's not worth it. The little things that we stress about are not worth it.
Once you learn that, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful gift to have something that happens in your life to like truly learn what it means to have the gift of just knowing that everything, life, like everything is never too big and nothing is ever too small. I think that's like a really great lesson that anybody could take home, is like nothing's too big and nothing's too small.
Right.
You can always get through it and you can always get past it. And if you ever feel like you can't, you have to be willing to be open to others, to lean on others, because there is people out there for you. There's a community out there for you.
Yeah.
You just have to find it, you know, but you also have to be honest. I think a lot of times people, or even myself, I will be afraid to like talk to people about whatever's going on in my life, because, well, why am I going to put that on other people?
We don't want to be a burden.
Yeah, I don't want to be a burden.
Yeah.
But the reality is we need to do that. It's not always about having a therapist. Something that I've learned in our friendship is that it's not always about having a therapist, that you can actually talk to your friends about what's going on, because I didn't have the right friends before. And like something that's great to learn too is like, if you don't have the right friends, then you're in situations that are not healthy for you, where you're going to put yourself in harm's way because you don't feel comfortable, or like you have a space to talk to people.
Right. And I think that on that topic of just who are your people and how do you find your people, right? Because I think we can be like, you can say, oh, well, just go find your people. What does that mean? I think when we are in relationship with people that are not an energetic match or meant for us, you're going to be feeling those kind of, I don't know, arguments or little things that are bothering the other person or you about them in a way that you're like, why is this? It's just not working, right?
Yeah, I think most people can feel when it's not the right person. And it's whether or not you choose that. It's also like an addiction. It's like,
yes.
I know this person isn't right for me. It's super unhealthy. We fight all the time. We argue, or like they're not my biggest supporter and I'm not their biggest supporter. But I do it anyway because it feels good to not feel good. Right?
Girl.
Sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's and finding your people then that you can fully be yourself with. Like actually be yourself. Take the mask off. Take the public persona of watching yourself or do I look okay? It's like, no, can you just be 1000% your silliest self with the people you're around? Yes, then those are your people. No.
Absolutely.
Maybe we need to question that, right? Or why do I feel like I have to put on this mask in front of these people or this situation?
And when you keep those type of, what I've learned, and this may not be for everyone, but what I've learned is that like if you keep those people around, if somebody that is for you tries to enter your life, they're gonna pass you. Yeah. If they're for you, they'll pass you if you're with the people that are not for you.
Right, because there's no space for it. Right. People forget like energetically how much space is a conduit for everything else to come into your life, whether it's cleaning out your closet to make space for the new life you're ushering in. I know we're getting real woo-woo right now, but it's
but that's the thing. So even that, like, it's not woo-woo to me because that's how I live my life, right? That's universe, right? But then if you want to take it on another level and you want to talk about like the actual scientific reasoning behind it, then we talk about the fact that, well, if you're with somebody that's not for you, you're spending all of your time with that person and it's draining you so much that you are actually physically and emotionally and mentally not capable of allowing the right person in.
Exactly. In the same way we talk about like earlier about your dream and chasing your dream and then having your dream chase you, it's quantum physics. It comes down to what energetic vibration are you existing in, and that's what you call into your life. So whether it's being in the wrong relationship or being in the wrong home, the wrong city, whatever
job,
it is,
career.
If you feel like you're coming up against something, question, is this actually for me, right? Like, is this where I'm supposed to be? And people don't ask themselves that question enough, I don't think.
And it's not to say that if something's hard, then it's not for you.
Correct.
Right. But it's like, I think if you're an aware person, then you know if it's not for you. You know, like if every sign is telling you this isn't right for me, and then you also have some other people that maybe like a family member that actually does support you, or I once did, telling you like this isn't good for you, then maybe it is like not good for you. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But things can be hard. You know, just like we talked about, like our dreams and our passion and our career, like that's hard. But there's a difference, I would say, between hard and not for you.
Yeah, I think the thing that really brings up what's the difference of that for me is when this feeling in my soul, in my body of like, I have to do this, right? Mm-hmm. Like we talk about our why in our career. I think about someone who, say, is going to school to be a doctor. They go to get, their private practice, and I see them and I'm like, that's amazing. But there's nothing inside of me that's like, oh my God, I'm so jealous of that. I want to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas when I see someone around me booking a series regular on a television show, I'm like, oh my God, that's what I want. And I think following that, we can reframe it. Sometimes people who are maybe not doing the work as much or going to be like, I'm jealous of that. Right?
Yeah.
But it's like, can we take that jealousy? Can we take that and reframe it as this is just showing me what is actually for me, instead of, I'm so jealous of that person. They got something that I wanted. No, that just means that it's for you too.
Absolutely. You know what? I feel like that was a good ending for that topic. I don't want to like just end it. We can come back to it. But I have to say, Shannon has this really beautiful quality of like, just explaining things in a way that don't hurt you, but are very direct in a way. Like, it's very direct. Like, but she's not going to hurt you. She's going to explain it in an avant-garde way that lets you know that maybe what you're doing or how you're acting or something
is a little maybe not the best for you. A little. No, I think I see perspective from a million different angles. And I think that's one of like the best qualities that anyone who is an artist or an actor can have. Because any time we're going to get a script, if I see and I'm going to be playing the villain and I look at this villain and I am villainizing this villain in my head, I'm not going to be able to play that role. You have to be able to see perspectives that aren't your own.
Yeah.
In order to step into those roles or to be an artist. And I think that that's important generally as human beings in the world. There's so many people who just, it's one side versus the other, or you're wrong and I'm right, or you're right and I'm wrong, whatever it is. But I think there's space and room for more curiosity, for more questioning of why does that person think this way? Or what happened to them in their life that brought them to this, understanding of the world in this way. And
instead of immediately attacking.
Exactly. Because the only thing that wants to attack is our ego. Mm-hmm. It's this drive to protect us.
Well, they don't think the way we do, right? Or they don't act the way I act. So why, and we, I mean everyone, like they don't act the way we act. They don't talk the way we talk. They don't show up the way we show up, but it's like, we're all on our own path and living our own lives, and we all have a million things that happen to us throughout a day, and who knows like how bad of a day that person on the street had. Like, if you don't mind, I'd just like to tell a little story from when I first moved to New York. I was just like, every homeless person I saw, I had no money, right? Like keep in mind, like I'm like 17 years old, just turned 18, moved to New York. I was a struggling artist, right? But I would, if I had $20 in my pocket, I'd give it to the homeless person. And then fast forward, everybody told me not to do that, right? But fast forward like 5 years down the road, and I can't remember if it was like at a conference or I was listening to like the radio, or it was like a friend told me this story that like it was a friend that told me the story that they had like a high-end CEO executive friend that was, a millionaire, billionaire the day before. And then the next day they were on the street homeless. And it's like, you don't ever know what somebody's going through. You don't know that person that's sitting on the side of the road, that's disheveled and everything else, that's asking for a meal or asking for some money, has been through, because like they could have literally been sitting in a position to hire you yesterday.
Right. I think we've lost a lot of empathy for other people, or that curiosity. Yeah. And I think we need to get back to that. We need to get back to humanity. Like that's my why.
There isn't a lot going on in the world right now, unfortunately.
There's so much going on in the world. And I think that's why finding your people, community, empathy, as much as there's like a war on empathy right now, like that is such a superpower, to be able to see things from different perspectives. I'm not saying that, you're not going to have to set boundaries with people, or that there aren't people that aren't bad in the world, right? Like there are people that have their own things, and you can see them and forgive them and not be involved.
Yeah.
Like those two things can coexist. I think it's just about just understanding that everybody has their own path and everyone has their own journey, and I can forgive you and I can stay over here. Yeah. Those things can coexist. Yeah, I believe in second chances. I believe in seeing the best in people. And I think that is what makes a really good actor and artist.
I believe in that too. I mean, the reality is if you can't look at somebody and give them the time of day to get to know them before judging them, I mean, I'm sorry, but like those aren't the people that I keep in my life.
Right.
Because you can only take so much of people judging you all the time or throughout your life before you're just like, I'm just sorry. Like I can't be around other people who won't take the time to get to know people before judging them.
Right. Well, and that's something that we have talked about before too, of just, obviously online, people are going to say what they're going to say. People are going to project their own insecurities onto you. They're going to have their hatred, whatever it is. And it's about like, I'm not going to shrink my light to be any less to make other people comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of like coming from small towns and wanting to move somewhere where people see things in different ways and have different perspectives on the world. Where we kind of like wherever we come from sometimes can box us in to what that is. And I think so many of us in this world are like, I needed to get out of there. If I didn't get out of there, I was going to die. I was going to just right? Like
Yeah,
actually
exactly.
that feeling. And it's just, I don't know. It all comes back full circle of perspective and questioning too, like the stories that we have been told our whole lives, whether it's from society, whether it's from our parents, whether it's from, school teachers, whatever it is, and saying, is this actually a story I believe?
Right.
Or is this a story that I've been told so many times that it is so deeply ingrained in my body and being and mind that it's just how I operate? Whether it's, okay, like, I hate X, Y, and Z. Why? What about that? Like, where does that story come from?
People have forgot that is what the freedom in United States means. I think people look at having the freedom in the United States as one thing because it's only political.
Yeah.
That is not the case. Definitely is not the case in 2026 or in the past many years. But in my opinion, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. No. But the freedom that we have here and as grown adults is that we have the freedom to allow ourselves to grow.
Yes.
And when you, like you said, only stick to the things that you were taught in a history book or in your school classes,
right?
Then
or even
you're
just the
not
people
using the freedom that you're allowed to live.
Yes.
And that's the beautiful thing. It's like you're allowed to learn and grow.
Exactly.
Not everybody has that opportunity.
Right. And that's exactly going back to the why of artists and how important it is what we do, because what we do allows people to look in the mirror at a lens through something, a peek into a world that they may never have been a part of, and potentially have them start to shift their perspective. And that is the most amazing thing about being an artist in this world.
Yeah, I know. That's like, I have to agree. I think that's the best thing. Like this part of the conversation that we just got to, I'm starting to get chills because I'm like, it's so real. Yeah. Like truly. I mean, that's why I think like another guest asked me, what is your purpose or why do you do what you do? And I went on about one topic, but like the reality is that I do what I do because of what you're saying right now. And I know you do what you do because of what you're saying right now. And the creative directors do what they do. The producers do what they do. Everybody involved does what they do to share a story in a different light for people to learn and grow. And I think that it's great. That is a positive thing about social media today.
Yeah, you never know who you are helping. Yes. You never know who's seeing your stuff and feeling inspired, or like they can step into their dream now, or they can be their authentic self now because you being in your light has given them that permission.
Yeah, you did it. You showed up and you did the work and you proved everyone wrong.
And you did it.
And I know that's right. Yes! I'm still in chills. This was such an amazing conversation. Definitely one of my favorites. I want to thank you so much for being here, Shannon. You guys can find her on Instagram, Shannon Hamm, and look at her amazing new reels with her commercial that she was just in. Thank you guys so much for coming to Let's Get Deep. If you guys make sure to like, comment, subscribe, Wait, do it with me.
Like, comment, subscribe, save, add to story, add to DM, use audio.
Copy link to Facebook profile,
add
share
to
to your personal profile. I love you. Thank you so much for coming.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Bert.